Hello, and welcome to the Priori podcast. It's the 15th of July. 15th of July. I'm just looking at my laptop, and this is the first time I've realised that when I downloaded Windows 10, it's put the month before the day.
So you're not in the 15th month.
Well, I was thinking, it just caught me off guard, but anyway.
And Winston looked, and the clocks had struck 13. We're not quite in that territory.
Not quite, no. But I'm here with Harry.
Hi.
Where are we?
We're in BPP Law School in Holborn.
Holborn.
In London.
Not Holborn.
Not Holborn, but...
as I keep saying.
Yeah, I'm currently studying here, and as opposed to being in the joint recording studio where we were last week, we've chosen to record in this lovely office block type building.
Yeah, it's
a bit dire. There's no two ways about that.
There's a lovely view of some brown bricks and a crane,
and what looks like council flats, which are probably going for about £900 a week.
Oh yeah, over there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not that anyone listening to this can hear that.
No.
Or see that.
What we'll do is we'll take a photo and make it the
month's image.
The month's image can be of these, and then you'll get what we mean. It's not Rome.
No.
But you know, most places aren't.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, if you're somewhere in the world, you're not in Rome.
Yeah, it's like most days you won't die.
I mean, can't fault that.
Unless you then take all days into consideration, as in all days ever.
Yeah.
In which case, most days you aren't existing.
I feel like this has gone off on a really existential tangent.
Speaking of things that don't exist anymore, George Osborne.
Well, that was a smooth segue. But, yes, Osborne and Gove. Let's not forget the trophy that has been lost.
Well, I'm actually looking at this being the 15th of July. I think yesterday was the first day we had a cabinet announced, and I've got the list here. And I mean, really, there are 7 relatively big names, to be honest. You've got who are out. I mean, apart from, I think David Cameron just sort of is a given, but George Osborne, who was the Chancellor, if you didn't know, Michael Gove, Justice Secretary, Nicky Morgan, Education. Nicky Morgan was actually 3rd or 4th favourite to be Tory leader pre-Brexit. John Whittingdale, Culture. Oliver Letwin, your favourite man in the world.
Yeah, not the greatest human being.
Theresa Villiers, who again was a Leaver.
She was a prominent Leaver and I believe a strong Leadsom backer.
That's probably why she hasn't done very well.
Stephen Crabb, who I think it's just been announced has had some personal issues, to put it lightly.
So the coverage of Stephen Crabb yesterday was of such that it made it look like Theresa May hadn't given him the job that he wanted. That's not the case. He had gone into 10 Downing Street. He's the only person who went into Downing Street and left without a job. Now, the reason for this was because it was also revealed a couple of days ago that he had been sending explicit text messages. This is a homophobic Christian values man, married, father of 3 children, who had been basically sexting a woman half of his age and making some rather explicit comments towards us. So he went, and we don't know if the reason why he is out of the cabinet was a resignation at Downing Street or he was sacked. But often they don't tend to get sacked at Downing Street.
I mean, this isn't the first person to go out of personal issues, is it? Labour's shadow chancellor prior to Ed Balls coming in. Name has slipped my mind. Johnson.
Yes.
Resigned in similar circumstances. not the smartest thing to do when you're in office. Who else was it?
Didn't Blunkett go that way as well?
I'm not entirely sure. There was
I thought he went.
another Labour MP recently.
Shah. Naz Shah.
No, not Naz Shah.
Oh.
Although
she did resign.
She did resign.
But she resigned in literally the most ridiculous circumstances. She posted Naz Shah. Where was she? Bradford.
I think she was Bradford.
Was it Bradford West? George Galloway's old.
Yeah, I think it might
have been.
The MP I was thinking of actually was Simon Danchuk.
Oh, Danzuk, yeah, with the wife.
Yeah.
Karen, who is the cleavage of Twitter.
Is that
She's actually really the problem is that you've just typed in Labour MP, what was it? Labour MP wife selfie, and you just get Karen Danzuk.
I think that
that's
was
how you pronounce this. Danzuk.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, after Labour MP, that's one of the first things to come up as a Google suggestion,
like a prompt, yeah.
Which says something about the reputation of the party at the moment. More of that to come later.
I think it says more about that couple's reputation, which is really sad because she's on Twitter. Oh, excuse me. I've just had a burger. On Twitter, she's actually really quite good. She's quite good value. She's worth following. If you're into that sort of view. No pun intended.
I was going to say, but
just going back to the.
Well,
we'll go back to Naz Shah very quickly because I said she resigned on the most ridiculous circumstances. I'll back that up because the thing that she resigned over was an image, and I'm glad you're googling it because I cannot remember for the life of me. But it was seen to be anti-Semitic. And the person who she retweeted, was it about relocating Israel into America?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So she relocated. The point was it was why Israel should relocate into America. Various rather tongue-in-cheek reasons. The original. Okay. Well, Harry, you've got it up. You can give the reasons.
So it was, the tweet in question was, it said, solution for Israel-Palestine conflict, relocate Israel into the United States. Pretty horrific thing to tweet if you are an MP. Arguably not the smartest thing you can do.
Well, hang on, because I mean the reasons are you can see them better than I can. Just read them really quick, just so people.
Israelis are most loved by Americans. Americans will welcome Israelis with open arms. America has plenty of land to accommodate Israel as its 51st state. Israel can have a real safe Jewish state surrounded by friendly states. Debatable. America will no longer have to spend $3 billion taxpayer money per year for Israel's defence. It does just go on. Not the smartest thing to tweet though.
It's not. However, the that particular piece was actually written by a prominent Jewish academic in one of his books, and this was. I'm so glad. This is the advantage with having an iPad or having a Harry with an iPad. The original, and this is where my memory is failing me. But it was basically written by it was claimed as being anti-Semitic, but it was actually written by somebody who was Jewish.
I mean, this came shortly. Well, I think it was Ken Livingstone that defended what she'd done by shouting Hitler repeatedly for the entirety of an interview, which, again, not a smart thing to do. Given you've had a fairly distinguished career in politics, as London Mayor, as an MP, how you enter an interview and think Hitler is...
It wasn't even an interview, it was question time.
It was just
Anyway,
straight off topic.
Going back to our new cabinet, our new leaders. The other two who have been sacked. Baroness Stow was the leader of Lords, whoever cared, and Mark Harper was Chief Whip. Who is that's a big deal for people who maybe just watch the mainstream in the headlines and stuff like that. Chief Whip doesn't seem like a big deal, but being the Chief Whip really for the continuity of the party and continuity of the party line is really important. If you have a disgruntled whip, you risk losing votes, and with a small majority that the Tories do have, and a splitting party over certain issues, particularly where you've got Remainers and Exiters, having a solid chief whip is really, really important. Just very quickly, the unchanged
Michael Fallon,
is defence.
I mean, arguably not a really controversial figure in terms of, as a defence secretary, I don't think he's done anything that Labour wouldn't have done. To be honest, I don't think there's much policy difference as it stands.
I don't think he would have done anything that anybody would have done any different.
Exactly.
He's very uncontentious. He's a safe pair of hands.
Whereas, by contrast, Jeremy Hunt has kept his seat, and I'm happy that I've said his name correctly this time.
See, this is the thing. If for whatever reason, if Jeremy Hunt was sacked as Health Secretary, it would make David Cameron's last cabinet look as weak as possible.
But I mean, if you look at the amount of people that moved up the echelons of the party, there are quite a few. I don't think
I don't think there's that many people who David Cameron had very, very close to him in high office that have done anything but gone down.
Well, okay, let's look at the people who have moved up. So Philip Hammond.
Well, sorry, just very quickly, the unchanged, just to round it off. Alan Cairns for Wales, again not particularly contentious, and David Mundell for Scotland, again not huge. I don't think they had anyone else
who could have
done it. So no,
jobs.
I think that's sort of it. So as you say, the people have gone up. Philip Hammond as Chancellor, very safe pair of hands. Probably the safest pair of hands within the Tories.
Yeah, I think actually
since Major.
Again, I don't. As much as I'm not a Tory party member, I've got to say that I don't have much against Philip Hammond. I think that actually, on balance, he is probably quite pragmatic in what he does. I think he's probably a fairly good minister. Quite an uncontroversial figure. Hopefully that will continue as Chancellor, although
it's unlikely. I don't think any Chancellors who are going to be dishing out austerity cuts and stuff like that are going to be uncontentious. Probably uncontentious within the party, and that's as good as he can hope for.
I mean, you're always going to compare him to Osborne's legacy, and
I think he'll have a better one.
It all depends,
unless it all does go to shit.
Which I think, given the way that recession cycles work, and the way that the economy's been post the Brexit referendum, it does all depend on what result
Depends what happens after Brexit.
And are we going to be in a stronger position afterwards? Arguably not.
We'll see what happens. Well,
but
we're going to come back to this name in a minute, to the next name on the list, because I think we'll have to leave him till last.
Okay.
But Home Secretary Amber Rudd comes from Energy. Again, promotion makes it look like more women in front bench positions. I think that's a relatively good move.
Mm-hmm. Liz Truss as Justice Secretary, replacing Michael Gove, who I think universally disliked within the legal profession.
I don't think that's going to change because the prison reforms still haven't completely finished.
No. I think that we will have to see what her record is. As far as I'm aware, Liz Truss before was... what was she doing before?
She had...
It was a relatively minor role.
Yeah, like DOSAC, something like that. Brexit. This is a new one. Brexit Secretary, David Davis. Probably the sort of person you'd probably want in that sort of made-up role.
I think, and brushing over the name that we're leaving till last, I think it's a sensible move to move that portfolio out of the way of the Foreign Office and just to separate it out. I think of the Brexiters, David Davis is probably more sensible.
He's again moving the Brexit issue away from international trade, and into the path of Liam Fox. And again, somebody who's idiotic enough to take your best mate without security clearance into a chat about nuclear arms, you've just got to wonder what you've got a PhD, mate. Sort it out.
Was he a PhD or was he a GP?
Oh, was he a GP?
I think he might be.
Oh, Jesus.
I
could have dealt with him being a doctor of history. I can't deal with him actually knowing about how to make me better. Anyway, whatever.
I mean, going back to the obvious point is, why not put him as a doctor into the health secretary role, or why not still replace the justice secretary with a lawyer? It stands to reason that you should put people who know what they're doing into offices of power.
Because I once had this discussion very, very early on in my undergraduate degrees with Dr. Mike O'Neill, one of our tutors, and I said to him, I said, why do we not have economists as chancellors? And he said, because actually the one person you never want in that department is a department that they think they know about.
But you had Gordon Brown as chancellor.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, but I mean, I don't think he's the most popular chancellor.
No.
A relatively successful one, whatever people may like to think.
Very smart man.
Yeah, he made some relatively poor decisions as well. But yeah, just have a look. He was he's Dr. Liam Fox. He worked as a GP and a civilian army medical officer before becoming an MP in '97. So he was actually given defence, and in the coalition, wasn't he?
Yes.
So that wouldn't have been he was actually given defence in 2005, and then basically got it. But this was the thing. This whole thing about Adam Verity is just daft, absolute daft. But anyway, he was a GP. That's sad news. But anyway, in terms of other women now in front bench roles, you've got Justine Greenham, again has been promoted to education, replacing Nicky Morgan.
I think a relatively sensible move, actually.
Probably sensible, because whilst Nicky Morgan was never liked by teachers, and I don't think many Tories are liked by teachers, full stop, no matter who that person is within education, under a Tory government, you're most of the time not going to be liked by teachers. I think that's fairly universal. And Nicky Morgan probably is going to be one of these people who not only was not liked by teachers, but then didn't let that resonate with the rest of the party.
No,
she really struggled to get any sort of traction. She couldn't get the academy thing to sort of be spun her way, and it was
always living in Gove's shadow.
Yeah, because he was, whether you like him or not, and whether you agree with his policies, he was effective.
He was effective. It's a sad thing that people who tend to destroy institutions tend to be quite effective at it when they do it. And I mean,
Genghis Khan, effective.
Was that a comparison between Michael Gove and Genghis Khan?
I'm sure it's not the first time it's been made.
I'm sure you're not the first person to make it. I'm sure members of the Gove family have also made that comparison. Sarah Vine. But I don't know. I must admit, I am glad to see Gove out, and I'm glad to see Nicky Morgan out. One of my close friends is a trainee teacher at the moment, and he absolutely despises everything that the Tories have done in office. And actually, he's a former Tory voter, So for him to come out and say actually what they've done is completely awful as a supporter, it does take a lot.
See, my girlfriend is a teacher, but at a private school, but she's not hugely. She doesn't necessarily. Well, she doesn't disagree with academisation, because I think that the way she sees it is the national curriculum has been implemented incorrectly. But anyway, different kettle of fish. One day we'll get her on. So the new chairman and Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Patrick McLaughlin.
Former Transport Secretary, and
would you call that a promotion?
I would call it a promotion. As I was watching the campaigns, I noticed that he was trying to offer as much support as possible to Theresa May from the outset, and I know what he's done quite well, as my dad actually works in the Department of Transport at the moment, and he is fairly liked as a minister. So I think probably not a bad move at all.
Well, going into transport is then Chris Grayling,
Yeah.
formerly Leader of the House, now Transport. Now,
I would call that a demotion.
do you think?
I would call it a demotion, definitely.
So I'd call it a step sideways, because I think it's very hard for Leader of the House to go into one of the real big offices, but I think Transport is a good stepping stone.
I think,
but this is the thing. He was Theresa May's her electoral campaign leader. He managed the whole thing.
correct me if I'm wrong, Grayling was a Brexiter as well,
He was,
and
yeah.
I think moving.
He also looks like a very evil man. Just from looks, he looks kind of like a cross between Voldemort and a Scooby-Doo villain.
I mean, I do think that the Voldemort figure is Sajid Javid, but that's just because I've got so used to using the nickname Voldemort for him. Sorry, Sajid, but anyway, I think that keeping Chris Grayling and generally speaking keeping some Brexiters within the cabinet is a sensible move, and arguably they have been moved where possible into uncontentious roles.
Yeah.
Between Labour and the Tories, there's very little shift in transport policy.
And
unless something drastic happens, like Gatwick gets picked for airport expansion, or HS2 gets cancelled, realistically speaking, it's not a contentious office.
No. The new chief whip, Gavin Williamson. Again, I think that is probably a very wise move.
I don't know much about Gavin.
I think that's a good thing about a chief whip.
Who was it? And it's the shadow is Rosie Winterton, or did she? I don't know who's in the shadow cabinet.
Yeah, because everyone's stood down, and there isn't a shadow cabinet at the minute. There's no opposition, but we'll come on to that in a minute. We're just gonna very, very quickly. Business, Energy, Industrial Strategy Secretary is Greg Clark, and Environment Secretary is Andrea Leadsom. Now, what that means between the two of them, apart from Andrea Leadsom being a
mentor,
going from Energy, being mentor, and then also being one of the leadership contenders, it does mean that the Climate Change Office has been closed.
Which, not a smart move at all.
But from a Tory point of view, potentially very, very intelligent. Potentially. Because there are a lot of, I don't want to say climate change skeptics, but there are a lot of people who think that climate change gets overrated, that there are more sustainable ways of doing it, the free market will deal with it and stuff like that. So and also there are a lot of Tories, a lot of people in general probably not just Tories, who think that it's a huge waste of money because the actual benefit from it afterwards is minimal. So from Theresa May trying to win over those Tory voters that she didn't have, I think she's probably done okay. I think the best thing she could have done is not rock the boat.
Yeah, it's interesting with her being a geography graduate as well, which to close the climate office it seems a little bit unprecedented, to be honest. just to move down the list to one of my favourites, Priti Patel, who is the new International Development Secretary. Now, not a fan in any way.
No.
Obviously from the hard right of the party. Very sketchy record in dealing with tobacco companies and representing their interests in Parliament, and a prominent role in the Brexit campaign, and also, interestingly, an early supporter of Theresa May for leader, despite the opposing view. Now, she was employment minister, and quite frankly, I'm happy that she's nowhere near
anything that matters.
Well, international development is a bigger portfolio than being just a junior minister.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, she was also somebody who came out and said that international development should be scrapped as a department, because she said that you're better off doing trade with these countries than just giving them money. Now, whilst that can be a viewpoint, the hypocrisy is going, well, actually, I'd rather have an office than be a junior minister. It speaks so much for Priti Patel, her values, and what she's willing to do for power. Because this was exactly the same when she talked about the tobacco industries and seeing their interest in Parliament. She's a complete utter sellout.
Yeah.
And I hope she gets absolutely nowhere near any front bench role, because she will literally just continue to climb the greasy pole as long as as long as she can keep shoveling the proverbial on those below her.
Yeah, I do think that had the Brexit referendum gone another way, she would have been one of the ones to possibly defect to.
She would have got a shot. She probably would have gone to UKIP.
Yeah,
and she would be so good in UKIP because she's tokenistic.
Yes.
She fulfills. She has the ideologies of most UKIPers and fulfills those ethnic diversity things that UKIP really struggles with.
I mean, you don't get many East African Asians in UKIP. You don't really need the M in many, to be honest.
No, and the other good thing about Priti joining UKIP is with the charisma of Nigel Farage leaving, whilst he's still going to be there and he's still got his LBC programme and stuff like that, him leaving leaves a big charisma hole. Dougie Carswell doesn't fill that.
No.
Nor did whoever the other guy was. The one who used to get pissed in the Parliament bar.
Reckless.
Mark Reckless, that's it. The irony of that name and his actions. But Priti Patel really could fill that. Again, I also think mid-beds, what's her name? Went on I'm a Celebrity.
Nadine Dorris.
She would be someone who would do well.
I mean, we did
in UKIP.
Interestingly enough, before coming on air, we did have a look at the odds for next UKIP leader. And, while we're just trying to find the stupid name on the list, which was, interestingly, Giles Brandreth, in case you're wondering, 150 to 1. There were names like Jacob Rees-Mogg. And I believe Priti Patel was on the list to be next UKIP leader, despite not being a member of the party.
But bookies get it notoriously wrong.
They do. I mean, 150 to 1 on Giles Brandreth.
It's worth a punt, 50p. Also getting a demotion, queuing to his local government secretary, the hardest name in the world to say, Sajid Javid, because the J's are too close together, and you have to. I have to really think about it when I say that. That's a demotion from business.
It is.
He's going to feel he got a kick in the teeth, but I'm sure he's willing to accept a
role in government and local communities and local government. If I'm right, Eric Pickle's former portfolio.
Yeah.
And nothing small at all. Actually, given what the Tories were planning with the big society, wonder what happened to that.
Yeah, and greater devolution and greater powers for it could be a really good move for him.
It could be incredibly important, and I think
you would hope, though, having gone from business to be a part of the Brexit negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand why maybe he would feel a bit raw about the whole thing, but
we shall see.
Chief Secretary of Treasury David Gauke, Yeah. Again, the Cabinet Officer Minister is Ben Gummer. Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing with the list in general is there are names that aren't familiar, and I think we will just have to see what the main ministry turns out to be like. I think obviously there are, and we will now turn to the one name on the list that we haven't spoken about.
Actually, just before we say it, Leader of the House of Commons is David Lidington, who has been on the fringes for ages.
I'm not aware of him.
Yeah, he's been on the fringes of the Tory party and sort of has been a disgruntled backbencher for a little bit. So he's probably been rewarded by something tokenistic. I think also he was a Brexiter as well.
Right.
And the only other person is the Leader of the House of Lord Baroness Evans of Bows Park, who is really young. She's only about 43, I think. And again, that's probably going to try and unite the Lords when they're trying to pass lots of Brexit bills and stuff like that. So I think that again is probably a good move. But you're quite right in saying there's one big name that we haven't mentioned. And if you haven't heard the news, where have you been?
One giant zip wire hanging name. I can't remember what the whose comment it was that they were planning on having a system of zip wires to have them go across as foreign secretary.
Foreign Secretary is Boris Johnson. We'll give you a second. But what the fuck were they thinking? But I genuinely think though, everybody has been so concentrated on Boris Johnson in Foreign Sec that nobody has even looked at anyone else. It's completely deflected the attention of absolutely everything. Theresa May, quite literally right now, could be on the front door of 10 Downing Street in a G-string and nothing else, and her carpet slippers, and no one would care because everybody's over at the Foreign Office. She's probably deflected. She needs that bit of time. She needs that bit of time to settle in, and she'll need that bit of time to start prepping for her first PMQs. Her first proper one.
I think he's a very good scapegoat.
He is. And
I think...
But David Cameron used him, and he was a minister about portfolio. I mean, that's the thing. He will attract all the flack. He will be what John Prescott was to the Blair government. John Prescott got all the attention, whilst David Blunkett was doing stuff. Jack Straw was starting wars. Gordon Brown was selling the gold. But that was the thing. People were only bothered about John Prescott connecting with the electorate.
I am amazed that people forget about Prescott's very strong punch.
That was a brilliant punch.
I mean,
you proper caught him.
I think his response that Blair wanted me to connect with the electorate, and that's what I did.
So I did, yeah.
And in his credit, he did think he was bleeding, and his natural response was, "I'm going to punch the shit out of the guy."
Yeah, no. To be honest, I think if that was any other normal person and you'd been egged without you knowing, because that was the thing, he got it from behind.
Yeah.
In the same way when Nigel Farage was egged in Nottingham, beautiful moment, I was there, fantastic, just want to put that out there. He was egged from the front, and dirty protests and stuff like that, but you know what you're going to get. You know you're just wiping a bit of egg yolk off you. I think when it does come from the back and all you literally feel is something dripping down, because I don't know if anybody's been really badly injured, but you don't feel it necessarily initially.
I was going to say, did Farage actually feel it? Had he just been on a pub crawl around the city?
He actually hid in a pub afterwards. I don't know if it was the old Jerusalem.
Hid from people in Nottingham in a pub.
Yeah.
This is a city that's built on the drinks industry. Yeah. It's second to only Burton-on-Trent in terms of beer producers.
Just goes to show how moronic the man is.
I bet it was a bloody Wetherspoons and all.
It probably was, yeah.
But going back to Boris, I think that it is probably quite good having him in the Foreign Office, as he'll be away from office so often. He shouldn't be in the front line. And
he does actually have a lot of links with the countries the Tories want us to have links with. China, had to be relatively diplomatic after the Beijing Olympics, and going into 2012, that was something that Boris did very well. It was orchestrated very well. He comes across as a bit of a buffoon, but it's quite almost naive and youthful, and there's no real. People don't think there's any malice.
He is a very intelligent man, though. People forget that.
Yeah.
Albeit not intelligent enough to realise that tackling a Japanese child.
Funny, if you get a chance, just type into YouTube, Boris Johnson wipes out Japanese child. It's beautiful. Really.
I mean, there are game shows in the Far East that are less tortureful, and they have a program called Killer Karaoke that I've heard of. Google that as well. But no, I hopefully, having seen what his image is out of this election campaign and his other trips abroad, he'll have learnt his lesson. And you never know, maybe if Trump gets in, and we hope he never does.
Good.
He might be able to help out there. It's interesting to see what the reaction was as well within the UK, and Angela Eagle hearing it, and the look of
most
disbelief.
emotion she's ever given ever.
I mean,
She's
it kind of
so dull. We were on the tube. Harry met me at St Pancras, and we're on the tube, and I'm just spitting feathers at Angela. For those who don't know, I do a bit of work for Labour Party, and this week, for some reason, they've gone, okay, the Tories are in turmoil, they've got to elect a new cabinet, so we think that looks like a good idea, we're going to join them. And so far, the leadership contest, which has officially been called, will consist of Jeremy Corbyn, Angela Eagle, and Owen Smith.
Were you about to say Owen Wilson?
Owen Jones, or Owen Smith. One of them.
So we're going to have the star of Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, Starsky and Hutch and Zoolander,
Yes.
a prominent left-wing columnist, or a absolute wanker. I
don't know which one you're referring to.
I don't like Owen Smith either. This is going to be a. If nobody else joins, this is really going to be awful.
And I think it might be the make or break of the party. It will be.
Well, yeah, there's two options.
I mean, I am a Labour Party member, as I mentioned in the last podcast, and I didn't support Jeremy in the last leadership election. I supported Yvette Cooper. I would say that I'm probably nearer to the Blair Brown part of the Labour Party. So, looking at the candidates that are standing at the moment, arguably I can't find someone that I do fully support. Owen Smith would be the candidate that I would be more inclined to pick. Not that I know anything about him, but I don't see Jeremy Corbyn as leader. I respect the man's principles. I think that he does represent a part of the party that should have representation within Parliament and within government to an extent, but I do not see him as a leader. I don't think we are a credible opposition with him there.
I think the problem is that at the minute, though, is not just people not agreeing with Jeremy Corbyn. My beef with Angela Eagle is that she's the person who's come out and she has said Jeremy is not charismatic enough, he can't unite the party, he can't unite the nation. She's the least charismatic person I've ever set eyes upon. She and you come onto a stage and you're trying to speak like that. Okay, please don't interrupt me, I'm trying to make my point. But this is a sort of whilst she again is probably a very nice lady, she has. The thing that Jeremy has is he has voted on the right side of history for many party members.
Yeah.
She hasn't. Jeremy's been there a damn sight longer. He actually elevated Angela into her position. Angela would not be in a leadership contending position if it wasn't for Jeremy ascending her into.
I mean, she stood for deputy leader in the leadership election
and got annihilated.
I cannot remember for the life of me where she stood in my ranking. I know I put Ben Bradshaw first.
I think she finished below Stella Creasy, Ben Bradshaw, and Tom Watson.
So
that's that I know of.
So, I mean, she has held office to an extent since Gordon Brown's period. I mean, just looking at her record, she was Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury, Minister for Pensions, and then she's been Shadow Leader of the House. So she has had prominent roles.
What was she under Ed Miliband?
She was Shadow Leader of the House of Commons and Shadow Secretary for Business, Innovation and Skills. So she has had important positions. The problem is that none of the roles that she's had have, seen her as a prominent figure. I don't see her as a leader. I don't know why she's chosen, of all the people who have opposed Corbyn, to stand for leadership. But then again, I don't see many people who are competent enough to lead the Labour Party at the moment. The one name that comes to mind for a lot of people is Dan Jarvis.
That's it.
That's
the man.
It is true. He's charismatic. He comes from a non-traditional background. He's an intelligent man who arguably would see the Labour Party as a big tent party, which is what it...
There is only one issue he's really flagged in the past, which is he represents Barnsley.
Yes.
But he's from Nottingham. And Nottingham miners didn't join the Barnsley miners in the strikes. And that sort of thing does still hang raw with Labour faithful, particularly the unions, whether you agree with that or not. But I totally agree, and I genuinely think that his military background would bring over some of those former UKIPers. I hate to use the word patriots, but those people who describe themselves as patriots, do you know what I mean? That isn't really being fulfilled.
You completely diffuse the argument where the person that you've got is someone from that background who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a lot of respect from outside the party. I know that Ben, and this might be
Ben Walters.
Ben Walters, who has contributed,
was in our first podcast.
Was in the first podcast, which we recorded at his flat
in Nottingham, where Dan Jarvis is from.
Yes. Now I don't know whether it's out of tribal loyalty to the East Midlands or whether it's the fact I'm reading off Wikipedia that Dan Jarvis is a Nottingham Forest fan.
Oh, right, okay, right.
But he does have a lot of respect for him, and arguably Ben's views aren't that of the Labour Party at large.
No. So, Ben is a self-confessed Tory voter.
Exactly. So I think that for the Labour
Party...
Party...
That's the sort of thing that Labour need to be doing. I think So I'm the secretary for Labour Party in North East Bedfordshire, where I live. And the one thing that people always forget, and I've had to remind people, is that when you vote in a Labour, you are voting in a prospecting Prime Minister. You need someone who could potentially lead the party to a victory. And whilst you are meant to be voting for your local representative, it doesn't always work like that. People do vote for the leader. People didn't vote for Labour because they didn't think Ed Miliband was a statesman. And if we had a presidential system where you could vote in a president and then vote in a party, I think maybe what you would have ended up with in 2010 was David Cameron as your president, with maybe a Labour government. I don't know how much Ed Miliband would have swayed that. But yeah, I mean, coming from Labour anyway, this last week they suspended all CLP, which are the constituency Labour Party meetings, and they've suspended all local Labour Party meetings as well. And they've actually cancelled the vote. It's recently come out, literally in the last few minutes, on the 15th of July about the Labour Party null and voiding a vote in Brighton and Hove, which is one of their biggest parties, membership-wise.
Is that Karen and Lucas's current seat as well?
It is, yeah. So one that they really think they could win, and the Labour Party have avoided it because there's been so much disagreement, so much hatred. I've never known there to be a situation in British politics that's been so dangerous to be a politician.
I mean,
you've got Joe Cox being murdered. You've got Luciana Berger and Jeremy Corbyn getting death threats. You've got Angela Eagle, how much I don't like her.
Having a brick
I'm still not going to throw a brick through a window. The whole point is that we've got one of the oldest parliamentary democracies in the world, which is designed for us to have to talk things out.
And not engage in this low level debate. I mean, Stella Creasy, going back to when they had the vote on intervention in Syria, and she was berated by people in her constituency for her view. You know, whether you agree with it or not, it's wrong that I don't know.
It's weird because that's one thing that Dan Jarvis has done really well on. He's justified his position on Syria, and because he does have a military background, he can almost go, actually,
this is what we should be doing.
Well, it's not even as what we should be doing. He said, I appreciate why there are high emotions on each side, and I appreciate the arguments on each side, but for the best for the country, and for the best for the people living there, and for the technology we currently have in the military today, this is the best thing that we can be doing.
And at least it comes across as justified.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's Labour. That's Labour tax. So, for fuck's sake. So while we talk about things that are self-destructing, why don't we talk about things that are also destroying other things?
Like social lives.
Like social lives. Pokemon Go has come out, and it is. Anyone played it?
I've had a quick go. You've had a quick 2 minutes.
I've literally just downloaded it. In on here is one of Harry's colleagues, Cindy. Now, Cindy, your boyfriend has it.
He does.
What has it done?
So he downloaded it yesterday while waiting for me at Shepherd's Bush Station, and since then he has caught about 25 Pokemon, and it has been less than 24 hours. So
that's a good hit rate.
That's good. I mean, that's definitely more than 1 Pokemon per hour, not factoring in sleep.
I mean, you know, catching Pokemon is better than dealing with foxes that dip in and out of your bins in London, I suppose. Which is,
to be fair, I don't know why that never caught on.
Maybe people, they're training
Fox
like
and the brick.
What? As in like as a Pokemon?
No, as in you just kill it. Were we not talking about fox hunting?
I think that, you know, Pokemon wasn't designed to get kids to go out hunting afterwards. Somebody
actually, you reminded me. I'm part of a. I'm doing this with my left hand. I'm part of a group chat called Lads. Wow. And we all downloaded. We went on holiday to west coast of France last week, where it was out. It was out a couple of days before it was here. And a very good friend of mine, Callum, my crazy vegan friend put on Facebook that Pokemon is wrong because it teaches kids that it is okay to enslave animals. Pokemon are not animals. People of Britain, Pokemon are not animals. They are. They aren't.
Yeah, I don't think I can't work out whether some of them are animals or not. And also, there's the weird ones that are ghosts that I don't know how they can die or live.
Guys, they're both. They're separate species. Like, I don't know what you're arguing about. They're their own species. Come on.
Pokemon aren't species.
But they are, though.
There's fire ones.
They're animations.
Yeah, well, do animations have this sort of... can they love you?
No.
Exactly. And Pokemon can love you.
No, they can't.
My Pikachu loved me.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like
is that euphemism? I did hear though, that the concentration camp museum in Berlin.
No, it's the Anne Frank one.
Was it the Anne Frank museum?
It's the Anne Frank one and the Holocaust monument.
Oh, the Holocaust monument. That's it. Yeah. I didn't know it was called Holocaust Museum. I thought somehow that didn't.
Yeah, it's just loads of like concrete blocks.
Right, but apparently there's a Pokemon called Ghastly. Ghastly, that's
Yeah.
it.
Looks like
And
a spectre.
that happened to rock up.
No.
But it's worse that someone was actually playing it in a Holocaust
That's true.
monument.
That's actually
I
quite
mean,
true.
let's not forget that to find that out. I mean, it's just done on random
But doesn't
location.
it going off in your pocket? So when one's nearby, it tells you. You don't just go hunting. People aren't just going to start wandering into the British Museum looking for Pokemon. I hope.
I think they do.
Yeah,
I think they definitely do. I mean, they're everywhere.
you're having too much faith in people, and
Yeah.
as we know, people are fucking idiots.
And also, Pokemon Go,
point.
I feel like, is one of those apps now that makes, people... It has the power to make people lose sleep over. It's like when Candy Crush first came out. I didn't sleep for days.
I've never played Candy
I
Crush.
wouldn't even know if I looked at it.
Okay, well, the premise... why I didn't sleep for days is because when you exhaust your lives in Candy Crush, you have to wait an hour for your lives to come back. So I was just waiting and waiting and waiting, and I wouldn't sleep at night. I would sleep at like 3-4 in the morning because I'd wait for my Candy Crush lives to come back.
So you were bad at a game,
Yes,
and therefore
that cost me my sleep.
Okay.
You didn't end
And
up-
then I assume you were then worse at the game because you were. Did you not see the vicious cycle?
Yeah, well, this is how drugs work. They see the vicious cycle, and it's just people still get roped into it. I don't really
So
understand.
you are comparing a free application on a mobile phone to heroin.
You did. Okay, you picked the hardest drug there was. I mean, like a little casual marijuana, what?
Okay. Sorry to all our listeners in Texas. I think we have one.
We have a listener in Texas.
Yeah, you know the one from the Disney films, not the Bugs Bunny films. Who's always trying to shoot. He's trying to shoot Bugs Bunny, not him.
Yeah.
The sheriff one, the one with the really tight trousers.
Yes.
He listens. Did you not know that?
We've
Got a number of celebrity listeners.
Have we got any real celebrity listeners? I hear 2 Chainz is really
2
into-
Chainz loves it.
Yeah.
Drake did want to get in, and I said no, I'm fully booked. I've got nothing for you.
I tried to put the headphones on to Dan when he came to the studio. Didn't end well.
I did. The Queen was asking, and I was like, "You're a bit old."
But it's a crown as well. You've got to fit. Trying to fit the Beats headphones that we obviously use.
Using the Beats headphones.
Yeah.
And also, she wasn't willing to leave the house, and she said, "Look, the palace hasn't got that many plug sockets. Don't know if you both got your gear here."
Speaking of,
And then she went, "The corgid love it. They'd really like to hear it." And I said, "Look, Liz, I'm sorry. Like, you're just not. You need to meet me halfway. Meet me in a Weatherspoons. We'll go from there."
I mean, to be fair, you did pick the 15 minutes that she was theoretically in charge of the country between Cameron leaving and Theresa May taking over.
She's always in charge of the country, you idiot. She's the head of state.
Well, no, but as in, like, she had the she was more in charge. Like, if things went wrong,
Look,
she
what's going to go wrong in 15 minutes?
I don't know. Zika virus.
In 15 minutes?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? It's a birth defect.
I don't know. Have you seen 28 Days Later? That has to start from somewhere.
Yeah, but the whole point of 28 Days Later is that 15 minutes are actually irrelevant. It's 28 days. It even says it in the title.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, well, I'm glad we've strayed down that particular avenue of intelligence. So Pokemon Go is good then?
Yeah.
I've been told it's good. I mean, I do think that if you're in a very... This is the point we were trying to get onto before. Has the potential to ruin relationships and sleeping patterns. Word of warning from someone who does not play. So take that with what you will.
If you're on the tube and, you're really bored.
It doesn't work on the tube.
No, but if you're like me, above ground for half your journey.
That's true.
Near Wembley Stadium, trying to catch a Pidgey.
Was that with a brick?
I mean, was that ever in the series?
You catch Pidgey with a brick.
When he ran out of Pokeballs, I thought, sod this.
I mean, I've literally just downloaded it, and I think the point is, if you download it in public, and then all of a sudden you can start getting them quickly, I can imagine why that would be addictive. If you were in my hometown, I can't imagine there's anything.
I mean, mind you, listeners, I don't know how podcasts work, but Kez literally just downloaded it, and then he screamed with such joy at catching a Pokemon. Such joy. I mean, I wish I could, you know,
That maybe wasn't quite as joyous as it.
No.
So Andy Murray falling down a flight of stairs.
Even that's boring.
I mean, he sounds like that most of the time, to be honest.
He does.
When he Wimbledon.
It's like, well, you're certainly not dead, but maybe not alive. Just undead. So you are Andy Murray. You're an undead humanoid robot.
It is worth mentioning, though, winner of Wimbledon this week as we record.
Who cares?
I care.
I care.
Really?
Yes.
We went to Wimbledon, and though we didn't see him because obviously we're not made of money and couldn't afford the, I don't know, £4,000 tickets or however much they charge for centre court if you can't get there at the right time, it was fine. It was a really good day. We got to see him on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
What's it now called? Murray Mound?
I think it's still Hemman Hill.
Is it Hemman Hill?
Yeah,
I think
but people made it Murray Mound for the purposes of this.
Djokovic.
June.
Yeah, June's not bad.
I was in France at the time, and it was great because no one gave a shit, and I felt I was with my own people.
What, the French?
Just not giving a shit.
I'll be honest, I don't think the French are your people. After a Erasmus in France, and I don't know, after what the British have done to France in the wake of the football tournament, the Euros.
You say that. I was in France when, I mean, Wales got knocked out to Portugal, which was, of course, sad day.
Yeah.
But I was there when France beat Germany, and there were flares going off. People were. I have the video because I videoed it, and it was brilliant. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't threatening. It just happened to be. That's a picture of my sunburn. I got really sunburnt in France. But apart from that, good day. I'm now just. Here we go. Here is the audio off of it. So lots of heavy rock music. That's me laughing. And as you lot can see, there is a flare in the middle of a market square. Everyone ringing their bells. We were walking back to our hotel, and people were honking their horn and or whatever the French. That's me saying that is ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It was quite fun though, don't you? It wasn't threatening. I mean, it wasn't like Benghazi, but it was fun.
Well, it's nice to know that a football tournament wasn't Benghazi.
Well, I mean,
the point I think that this is trying to make is that even though it was fun, it very much could have had the potential to be not fun.
yeah. I mean, I think British football fans do have a reputation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm adding nothing to this conversation by not actually knowing. I don't watch football, so I'm just.
Well, those Canadians, otter oil spilled mop up. Like, I don't know what is.
I think they have actual sports over there.
Seal clubbing.
I mean, no, I think.
That's a good night out.
Note, Canadians do not condone seal clubbing. Or, I mean, I'm not going to speak for the entire country, but I do not condone.
I think he genuinely means night clubbing with seals. or Seal the singer.
I love this song. There is the Timber Olympics.
The Timber.
It might not be the Olympics, but or the Timber Games. That might be it. I don't know if
What
you've ever
is
seen
that?
it. It's
No.
what's on British Eurosport 2 on like a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. and it's where you get a load of Norwegian, Finnish, Swedish and Canadian people with big trousers and a checkered shirt, basically chopping down a log as fast as they can.
Does that count as sport?
They're brilliant. They're actually brilliant. And it's like some of them are using a chainsaw and they're trying to do it as quick as possible.
I mean, it does
It's
sound
really good. Genuinely, it's really. I mean, if you're hungover, that's something.
I mean, I was going to say, what are you doing at 6 a.m. on a Sunday?
Well, sometimes you haven't gone to bed yet.
But so you've come home and you've thought, instead of watching Netflix, which I hear has programs on it,
Many programs.
you know, instead
Programs
of
of
that,
the
I'm going to go
entertainment
into not Eurosport 1, but Eurosport 2.
Well, Eurosport 1 has the shopping channels. All you hear is
love those.
sound of the
love them.
60s.
I love the shopping channels. They're so great.
You haven't got a magic bullet blender?
You're quite right.
I mean, you say this, you joke about it, but I literally bought the Magic Bullet after watching the infomercial, and I
Hang
bought
on.
it from the infomercial,
The magic bullet.
Yeah, it's not.
which is like a NutriBullet here.
Yeah, rather than the JFK conspiracy, right? Like,
I thought it was a sex toy.
I mean, it also does sound like that, but no,
there is.
What is it?
it's a blender.
Oh, right, okay. Thank you for clarifying. I actually was going,
So
what the fuck
just to
was
clarify, they're not selling sex toys or a conspiracy theory about the murder.
No, it is a blender for your foods, various purposes, smoothies, salsas, you name it, it blends it. I mean, I could basically do an infomercial for it because
Are you
I
getting
was
paid
sold-
for this?
I wish I was getting
Fuck
paid
it,
for
do it now. We'll try and get some sponsorship out of it.
Magic Bullet. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
That's more than a highly recommend. That's a must purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Highly recommend's like an 8.
the thing is, I mean, this is the real grabber. I didn't even have to wait the whole hour. I watched 15 minutes and I fucking
You
Sorry.
can, don't worry. You can swear on here.
I bought it after 15 minutes.
I didn't even realise the whole things went on for an hour. I thought they looped.
Because you look at the clip and you go, "What, you like grind coffee every morning?" You know, and obviously when I make an omelette, rather than whisking things with my hands, I put it in a blender.
This guy like, oh, do you ever wish your bathtub was a jacuzzi?
It's like what is it? The Peter Serafinovic's kitchen advert, kitchen gun.
No, was it toilet gun?
No, toilet grenade.
Toilet grenade.
Bullet grenade. What is that?
So basically, it's a grenade that gets rid of all your lime scale.
He's literally throwing a
And
grenade.
it goes bang, and he goes, oh, the lime scale's gone along
I
with your
love
bathroom.
you, toilet grenade.
Yeah. It's like, now get infrared goggles for a foreign lime scale, or something like that, or some, the travel toilet grenade. That's a great show. I can't believe the best thing Peter Serafinovich did. You're probably not familiar with Peter Serafinovich. His most famous thing. He did the voice of Darth Mule.
Who?
In Star Wars Episode 1.
You mean more?
More? I've never seen it.
There's no Darth Mule. There's not. It's not a whole like a. What is a mule? It's a donkey,
It's
right?
a donkey.
Yeah.
So there's
it's
a
not a
Darth
donkey with
Mule.
a red face
There's a-
and a red lightsaber.
There's a Darth Bojack.
Do you even know whether it's Wars or Trek you're talking about?
No, I've seen neither.
So just
There's
to
something
clarify,
about
Darth Mule,
Spa-
the creator of the Death Stable or whatever the hell you think it is. Yeah.
Hang on, when you say Death Stable,
As in star, not like it's not an abattoir.
what is the Death? Is the Death Star an actual star?
It's like a hub, like a
Right.
hangar thing for evil bastards.
So it's like a garage.
It's basically the Legion of Doom in space.
Legion of Doom.
It's where all the evil people hang out.
Oh, okay. Forever.
Yeah. So you've got Hitler, Colonel Gaddafi,
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan, Salman Rushdie,
He's not dead.
or evil.
Do they have to be dead?
I think dead and evil.
Dead and evil.
So depending on how you feel about
Is Voldemort dead? Because I still haven't.
Well, he's never dead though, is he?
So he's not
in-
there.
No, Sajid
No.
Javid is actually he's actually the local community secretary.
Is he?
Yeah.
In The Legion of Doom.
Yeah, Voldemort was a community secretary. I think they
George
outsourced-
Osborne could go there now, because he's politically dead.
morally dead.
Well, yeah. Who else is?
I mean, he doesn't really have working brain cells.
That's a good point. Who would be there? Oh, you know, I really hate Mandela. Bet he's there.
Mandela.
I was totally joking. I realised that joke backfired when I looked at you two and went, what?
It's like, yeah, what an arsehole.
Yeah, what an arsehole trying to liberate his people.
Could have run to freedom.
Come on, Mandela, I've got all day.
You say that
What is this
Usain
country?
Bolt didn't see Nelson Mandela's biography and go, could have done that quicker.
I saw Usain Bolt the other day. He went, Kestell, John's been on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, sorry, mate. Can't.
So he asked you whether you wanted to be on his podcast.
Yeah, why not? That's what happened.
Does he run with mics or something?
Oh, God. That'd be awful. No wonder it's not very popular. You can't get anyone on it. You just, oh, but you said I've got some really interesting.
Studio must be massive.
What, for him to run? We'd just get an aircraft hangar, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I haven't worked out the logistics of. I don't know.
That's it. Or many phones are going off in the BPP. Where are we?
We're at the
BPP.
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. We're at the Legion of
The
Doom,
Holborn headquarters.
and I'm joined here with Genghis Khan and Salman Rushdie.
I don't know which one.
Why is Salman Rushdie in the Legion of Doom? Why did
It just is, you know. I thought Midnight's Children was an awful book.
Is that literally it? You don't like a book, so now it's in the Legion of Doom.
It's actually a pretty good book
Okay.
that I haven't read.
Oh, brilliant.
Pop culture.
Ah, you know who would be in there?
Yeah.
Oh, who's the really annoying historian? David Starkey?
Yeah.
The one with the weird glasses?
Yeah.
The monarchist
Yeah,
historian.
David Starkey.
He'd be in there. He'd be in the Legion
Well, he'd be
of Doom.
documenting it.
Yeah, that'd all be. Actually.
Are we still recording?
Yeah. I mean, we need to take a bit of a cul-de-sac off Pokemon Doom. Which Pokemons would be in the Legion of Doom?
I think
A cul-de-sac doesn't work.
What?
that has nothing to
Please explain.
You said we did take a cul-de-sac off of Pokemon Go. A cul-de-sac is. I know what you're trying to say, but a cul-de-sac is literally like not physically representative of the point you're trying to make.
I mean detour.
Yeah.
No, because the point of a cul-de-sac is you go down it and then you have to reverse back up to get back on road.
Yeah, but a detour is just like the wrong way.
We did not detour. We cul-de-saced. There is no way we're going back to Legion of Doom.
Yeah. Oh, Pokemon Go. I think that. I'm trying to think which Pokemon would be in the Legion of Doom.
Well, I literally said 10 seconds ago, we're not going back to Legion of Doom. I was like, which Pokemon would be in the Legion?
I think all the Digimon would be in the Legion of Doom. You don't remember Digimon?
No. I'm being looked at like, what?
Did you ever play like with the Beyblade? Where was your childhood?
Beyblade sounds terrible now.
I often couldn't get out of my cage.
Oh, well that's sad, isn't it?
Sheltered. Maybe you were a Digimon. maybe it's
I'm sure that joke's hilarious.
It's the reality of keeping small animals in captivity.
Oh, the bloody vegan thing all over again. I'm not saying all vegans think that. Just one particular moronic vegan who happens to just be personalised by her life choices. Which is a bit unfair. Like saying, oh, look at that man who wears sandals.
It is wrong though.
Wait,
They're in the Legion of Doom.
Every man who wears sandals.
Oh yeah, they're the cleaners.
What? How do you end up with these professions?
What? In the Legion of Doom?
Yeah. Are you actually operating off fact?
No, of course I'm not.
Oh.
Of course he's not.
Yeah, I have a full list of everyone that attended the last GM
Of the Legion of Doom.
of the Legion of Doom and all the minutes.
Were you there?
I was, I'm company secretary.
Gensec.
Yeah. They're trying to get rid of their leader. Apparently ineffective.
Oh, I see where this is gone.
Yeah.
But then they're trying to replace their ineffective leader with a vacuous bag of skin that breathes hot air and has the emotions of a urinal.
Is this a metaphor for the current political situation?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And then the other person, who is then also challenging the ineffective leader of Legion of Doom, has rolled in a tank bought with the tears of Paraguayan widows.
Why Paraguay?
I don't know. It just seemed like a particular country where there would be
Did they have
the
a
tears
war?
would somehow mean more.
Okay, I'm not disputing that. But yeah. And what we really need
Is the sort of figure that Stephen Fry would play in a BBC drama about the Second World War.
No. We need a David Attenborough circa 1975.
what as a leader.
Why 5?
I don't know. That was an arbitrary. I mean,
Oh.
that was completely arbitrary.
Okay.
But someone with that sort of like, the drive and enthusiasm he has when he talks about cheetahs or something.
Judge Rinder.
Do we need Judge Rinder?
Is it Rinder?
Yeah.
Oh.
I should mention with your jury duty thing.
Oh, by the way, I'm on jury duty this week and next week.
so let's
We've
just-
actually been watching Judge Rinder in court.
So I was going to ask.
Not like as evidence.
So all the famous judges, right? Have you met them? Let's go through this. So, Judy,
Rinder.
John Deed,
Yeah.
Dredd. Who else?
Who was Scalia?
Scalia.
He would be in the Legion of Doom. He's in the Legion of Doom. Do you know Judge Scalia? He was on
US Supreme Court.
US Supreme Court for 8 and blocked any single form progressive bill
Oh.
in the way. He kept
The reason
out
death
abortion clinics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were kept out, so they were federal issues for a long time, as were gun restrictions.
Yeah.
Right.
Wasn't the death penalty? What was the thing with the death penalty?
He was a really strong advocate of the death penalty. An irony that, they're now maybe. No, actually, no, it's not ironic at all.
I was going to say what
I was
you
going to say,
say?
because he's dead, but no, it's just
Not irony. It's just
fact.
it's just what happens.
Yeah.
We are all mortal.
But-
Wouldn't that be awful if we found that Richard Hammond was the only person in the world who was immortal?
I think Nigel Farage probably is. He survived a plane crash and he lives off a diet of beer and xenophobia. Comes in packets, apparently.
Does it?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
You can buy it off the black market.
It's basically
that's
it's that stuff that they put on pot noodles at the end.
that's soy sauce.
No, the powder that's just made out of nothing.
No,
Is it
you've been eating the wrong pot noodles. Do you mean super noodles?
I think I mean super noodles.
Yeah, super.
I mean, aren't they all the same?
No.
No.
How dare ye? The Harry's jaws. That was Harry's jaw just hit the table.
Yeah.
The difference between a pot noodle is it's in a pot, and super noodles are in a packet. And the pot noodle.
I thought you were about to say they're in a super.
The pot noodle has the main flavour in the pot with the noodle. You take out a little sachet of, if you have beef, it's tomato ketchup. If you have chicken and mushroom, it's soy sauce. And that's my favourite. And sometimes you get like a little tangy salsa thing. You could choose your NutriBullet. And the
It's not NutriBullet. It's a magic bullet.
okay. whatever. And then the super noodle, what you do, you boil the noodles. They're like raw noodle, like normal raw noodles, and then the little flavouring packet comes with it.
I see.
The super noodles, I must admit, as I've grown older, have gotten more disgusting.
I think also, the ease of having a pot really does add to the deliciousness of the noodle. It's like how sometimes when you take other people's food, not sometimes, I do this all the time, it just tastes better. Because it's not yours.
Yeah. So I couldn't nick
That
his
really
food
didn't
when we
link
lived
that well,
together.
but you know the point I was trying to make?
Your Honour. And just other stuff is just better. Other people's stuff is better.
Yes.
I feel that way about money. Other people's money is somehow better than mine.
And you don't work in finance?
That's why I'm always banging on the door of the hotel. Let me in. Their money's better than mine. I think the other thing better that other people own is somehow houses, because they never tell you about the little issues that you have with a house. Do you know what I mean? Like if your plumbing's a bit dodgy and you've got low water pressure, you'd never know if that person could live in what looks like a lovely house. And the plug sockets electrocute every time you plug them in. Like,
but I don't think the Queen talks about her block toilets with just 8 visits.
Philip left the massive log. I had to go my niche with it.
I mean, they don't talk about the corgi's little shitting area. The one servant who's just following them around with a dustpan and brush.
They're not actually. That would be why you should have rabbits indoors.
What, to eat corgi shit? But
that wasn't what I was going for. I meant as in dog poo is more liquidy. Rabbit poo is a bit more
So you're
solid.
saying you should have rabbits instead of dogs
inside
because their poo is
easier to clean up.
I don't think rabbits look good on state photos though. I think the corgis are...
Cats?
No.
Look like an evil dictator.
They are they're disloyal.
Hey, the Egyptians had, years and years and years of cats, and I don't think they're that far off. I personally do not like cats, but if you're measuring animals by the nature of how hard their poop is, cats are doing quite well. They have a litter box, they wrap their poop up in litter.
They don't wrap it, do they? There's your
Got a present for you.
My dad and stepmum have adopted a cat. They live at number 14, and it's number 9's cat. We know it's number 9's cat, but we've adopted this cat.
Do you
His
mean
name is-
stolen?
No, I mean there is now cat paraphernalia in the house. Number 9 can't come round now because the fact that they would see their own cat lounging on our sofa. Go, oh, we're expecting to see you here, and. The other thing is that if they walked in and saw a scratching post, they're like, oh, who's that for? Didn't know you owned a cat. And they even give it its flea thing treatment or tick treatment.
It's quite an expensive upkeep for a cat that isn't your cat.
Yeah, I think they've got marriage issues.
Not that they're going to listen to this at all.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean,
Well-
guys, it's weird. It's weird having a cat that's not yours. I mean, I'm speaking for everyone here. You need help.
I mean, I hate cats. I'm also deathly allergic to cats, so
I hate cats. I love dogs.
I love dogs.
I like petting cats if they're friendly cats, but no
Yeah.
cat is ever a friendly cat.
The thing with dogs is that they're just a bit thicker than cats in general, and they just love you unconditionally.
But that's brilliant. That's
Yeah,
what
I
you
love
want.
that.
That's what you want from an animal. That's what you want from a person.
It's basically a toddler that gives you exercise.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what motherhood is.
that is it. And also, if you were a single man,
Parenthood, even. Sus, guys.
Those men. If you were in a park as a single man with a puppy, you'd hoover up.
Yeah. Hey, that's gross.
What?
Hoover up, it's just a gross term for being like, hey, ladies. Sorry.
Okay, go tell that to Canada. So, You would just clean up better. I mean, it's the same basic verb.
That's besides the point. That's beside the point.
But you would.
Yeah.
If
yeah,
you
I
had
know. Yeah.
A golden Labrador puppy. Done.
Done.
I'd be done. If he went actually.
A golden Labrador puppy is what brings all the boys to the yard, except the boys are girls, and your puppy is a milkshake.
No, get the bullet away from the puppy.
No.
Oh dear. But I think on the note of blending puppies,
I meant milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
you definitely were on about
I
blending.
didn't. No, that's. I'm sorry.
Well, I think we've offended everyone now. Hang on, who haven't we offended? The Sikhs.
They're just Hindus who haven't really got the point yet.
Oh my god. And that's even more offensive because you're a family Hindu.
I'm joking.
Sikhs are cool.
We're still on, right?
Yeah, we're actually recording.
No, I love Sikhs. I think
I like the whole. This could go one of two ways. I like the whole idea of having a knife, just with you.
I think that's more an issue that you need to discuss with a therapist.
No, but it's like if you were there. How many times have you been there, like in the middle of the night? Like, I really want some cheese.
So you don't want a knife. You want cheese that's cut up. I think you're missing the issue. Have you had a Dairy Lee before? They do all the work for you.
Yeah, but it's not hard cheese. If
Or
you want
Baby
some,
Bell?
If you want some Gouda,
Um,
do you know what I mean? Like a
Go
nice
to a cheesemonger and you ask the man.
Yeah, but if it's 3 a.m, you know what it's like when you can't sleep. You think I want some of that.
No, Kes. I don't.
Strong, hard cheese to get me through the night.
I feel like this is going into a dark part of your social life.
I don't socialise with the cheese. Don't take it to a club. Hey,
What, me and my Gouda?
hey, baby, do you want some cheese?
This is why they don't let you into places. I've always wondered why Fabric never worked out for you. Trying to have that DJ night.
Fabric.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be able to pull it off.
What with you?
My cheese, DJ Darrelly.
You just make me think of Alan Partridge.
Smell my cheese.
I've got cheese.
It would literally be me in a club. I've got cheese.
But anyway,
I think we should wrap things up. I think we're done.
I think we're done.
Are we done?
Yeah.
To the point
Done.
where you two are now on Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm doing a Stephen Crab.
And on that note, thank you, Cindy.
thank you.
Thank you, Harry.
Thanks.
This has been the Priori podcast on the 15th of July. Sorry.